Good morning and welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast, Mindset Monday. Here today we have myself, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather.
And our guest, Angela. She's going to join us for Mindset Mondays. And, on occasion we'll have somebody else step in. And, it's just going to be a really fun conversation for you guys to join us every week.
So today, or this week, we are looking at what, can you say it? Vikalpa, which means imagination and giving thanks. The struggle ends when the gratitude begins, by Neal Donald Walsch. It's super important for us as individuals to practice and cultivate a practice of giving thanks, because the individuals who practice gratitude on a regular basis are 25% happier. Who doesn't want to be 25% happier? And it's free.
Right? Who knew that you could be happier by showing gratitude for other people, other things, experiences, nature, right?
So some ways that I incorporate gratitude into like my daily life is if I'm having a really, really bad moment, and I've talked about this before, I stop and I 5 things that I'm grateful for. And if I'm having a hard time, I'll even take it a little bit further, and I'll use my different senses. Like, what can I hear right now? And I'll even, go even further to like help myself center and calm. And I think that's probably like the biggest way that I incorporate gratitude into my daily life. How about you, Angela?
Sorry, just muted. Hopefully my dog's not going to keep barking because he's starting to growl. So
another dog from the podcast life is
Right.
Bear. We love him. He's amazing.
He's got these little growls he's doing underneath his breath right now.
I actually can't hear him.
So okay, good. He's not very loud at the moment. So yeah, I like that. And it's something that, like you said, about how it can, just turn everything around, just speaking that positive, thinking that way, changing our brain to think of the positive instead of the negative, can have just a whole effect. Just frustrated or whatever, just thinking of things that you're grateful for, that are positive, can change your whole outlook and your demeanor, just by focusing on that.
And the more that you focus on those positive things, the more you see the positive things.
Absolutely.
Are there any specific ways that you practice gratitude in your daily life?
I don't know specifically more than, that Heather does, is kind of taking that moment when you're just kind of needing to recenter and just refocus, and, focusing on that positive and the gratitude in that moment when everything may be kind of, chaotic, that you're just kind of, trying to think about the good in there, not just the bad that you were in the moment of, but focusing on what we're grateful for. So it's, not much different really like than she does, really. So
I think that's one of the tools, like you can focus on the silver lining. So when you have that gray cloud, like focusing on that silver lining, like what good is happening from this happening to me? What did I not, like, am I late because I avoided a car accident? Like my grandma would say that, be like, you're late because it was meant to be, like you avoided something. So finding gratitude in like the weirdest things, like looking at it like, I'm so grateful I'm late because who knows what I missed,
right? And then sometimes you'll hear about a car accident on the freeway like within minutes of you being there, or something like that, and you're like, oh, that explains it, right? So one of the things that I try to practice on a regular basis as I go throughout my day is, when I wake up in the morning, thank you, I woke up today, right? Having a warm cup of coffee and a hot shower, thank you, I'm so grateful for this little thing that helps me take care of me and makes me feel good. And my daily meditation practice, my yoga practice, it all goes to be thankful. I'm thankful for my body, and I'm thankful that I'm able to do things. And my body lets me do these things. And sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes our bodies like fight against us, right? But being grateful for the things that you do have, despite, maybe there's some challenging issues going on in your world, right? We all have challenges and things like that we face every day. But
Every day. From the kids being home unexpectedly to
right?
financial difficulties to
Mhm.
water heaters. You never know what it's going to be, like it could be anything.
Right. And there's so many things that can throw you off track. But by being grateful for even those little things every day, warmth, a roof over your head, whatever the case may be, it really does attract more things to be grateful for. It's like that law of attraction, right? You
Mhm.
attract what you put out in the world.
That's awesome.
So that leads us right into our sutra topic of the week. This week is Vikalpa Imagination, okay? And thoughts from the Yoga Sutra book. If you don't have it already, we are reading The Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nikolai Bachman, and it is the practical guide to the core of yoga. And each chapter is a sutra word topic, and it goes into the yoga sutras and how they all work and things like that, which are amazing tools for your life.
If you want to hear Charlie read the chapter to us, that's available on our YouTube channels for the week. So
every week. So the thoughts this week are: imagination and fantasy can bring me joy as well as suffering. So think about how maybe you get lost in dreamland, right? When you're,
if I went down the what if spiral, right? My imagination, what if in a negative way, or if I went down the what if in a positive way. Well, what if it does work?
Mhm.
What if I do get that vacation? What if I do get to what kind of emotional place would you be in if you're focusing on the what ifs in an imaginative way?
Right. And that's one way to look at it, right? Because you could take your imagination and go both ways, positive or negative. You can also get so stuck in your head and so stuck in this imaginative world that you have yourself in, that you're not really connected to the world you're actually in.
Oh,
right? So making sure that you don't overdo it in your own head, keeping it positive, but also not getting stuck on something so much that it's stuck in your head. The next thought is: I choose to use my imagination for creative thinking and self-reflection. Angela, thoughts?
Oh, you cut it on some of that. I'm sorry. Something about self-reflection.
I choose to use my imagination for creative thinking and self-reflection.
Okay. Choice of how we use our thoughts, right? I mean, like we just were talking about, like positive, negative, and choosing to reflect on the good things and reflecting on ourselves and how much, it's so easy to get caught up in all the things we still want to do or that we haven't done yet. But reflecting on how far we have come into something that maybe 6 months ago or a year from ago that we weren't, so reflecting on those moments to look at how much we actually have accomplished can help kind of with our mindset of shifting to having more of those positive thoughts.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yes.
Perfect. Spot on. And then the last thought this week is: I will make important decisions with a heart mind grounded in reality, yet inspired by possibilities.
I think this is that grounded in reality yet inspired by possibility that's where we want to be, right? So that's when we're setting goals that we can believe we can achieve. right? Because we understand where we're at
I said
and
that
where
again.
we're going.
Where you believe what you can achieve.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Where you can believe what you can achieve. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can believe in yourself. Wow. I said that. That was cool.
Right? So, and it does, imagination brings us right around to, that self-belief. Like you can imagine your goals, right?
Yeah.
You can imagine what that looks like for you.
And it feels like,
Uh-huh.
even if your goal is like to get through a really stressful situation.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'll use my imagination to imagine the day after the really stressful thing. What am I going to do that day to reward myself? Or what am I going to do after the stressful situation? And imagine what that feels like and that I made it through it, so I'm not so worried about getting through it. It really helps me to visualize and feel that I'm going to be okay.
Like it's hard right now, but imagine what that's going to look like later on down the road. The same reason why my family is like sticks to a pretty strict budget every week is because we know later on down the road that that due diligence with our finances is going to help us in the long run. And same thing with making sure our houses are in order, laundry is done. You're going to thank yourself later when there's clean laundry, right? And being able to walk into the kitchen and the dishes are done and the counters are empty, right? That's like a big deal for a lot of us, right? Because
that's like the best mom thing in the morning. If that sink is empty, I'm like, yeah.
Right? So anyway, and we can imagine what all that looks like to bring ourselves some positivity in a day or in a moment where we're having a really hard time.
So some tips to help you like be prepared for when you are having a hard time. One tip would be to like make a list of the top 5 things you're grateful for in your life. And carry that with you, like have it with you so that when you're having a hard moment and you can't get out of your head, you have it already written down. And along those same lines, keeping a gratitude journal. I remember I started one when I was going through my first divorce, and I still have it, and it still makes me happy. I like to go through and read the things I wrote in there, things people have said to me, cool things I found, like, things that were inspiring to me in the moment. Like if someone just said thank you to me, I wrote in there, so and so said thank you to me on this day for this thing, and I wrote it in there, and it still just brings me so much joy to reflect on that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important tool also to use for those darker days, right? Is to be able to look back at those things that you've been grateful for and remind yourself of how far you've come, right? And to be thankful for that. Vary your focus so you can find gratitude in all areas of your life, because there are things to be thankful for in all areas of your life. Every single one.
Absolutely.
Angela?
I agree. Like you said, there's something to be grateful for in all areas. I mean, if you look for it, if you see it, it's so easy to focus on all the negative things and all the bad things that are happening. And that way, it's always overwhelming, all the things all at once. But if you really can just stop and ground yourself for a minute to really think about what is positive, what is good in your life, it can change your mood. It can change your okay, and how you're tackling those bad things can be a lot easier too. Just taking that few minutes to just reflect, like, okay, this is bad right now. We're overwhelmed. Let's just take a few minutes and just, think about all the good, whether it be in the day, whether it be in the week, picking apart something that's, happened good in the last few weeks. I mean, whatever it is, there's always something there if you look for it.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, sometimes I'm just super grateful for a roof over my head, heat to keep warm, and a blanket to snuggle my dog in, just even just those little tiny comforts,
Yeah.
Food in your stomach,
food.
right?
Absolutely. Anybody that has been homeless or has struggled to feed their families, like those are huge gratitudes for us. Like I have goosebumps thinking about it. Like just like getting to that point in your life where these things happen that derailed you, and then to get back on track, and just to be so grateful for what you have in the moment. Absolutely.
Absolutely. The quote this week is, "The struggle ends when the gratitude begins." All right. So
if you're having struggles and you start with the gratitude, that's when your struggles start to end, because you stop focusing so much on the struggle and you become so grateful for the journey.
right.
And you remember that, we're here to live this process. It's not just I'm not going to live when I get to where I'm going. I'm living right now. And we should be excited in that. How do you feel about that? You like that?
Yeah, I think I'm sitting here on the back of the couch, just kind of not wanting to actually lay down today.
She's like, I am so grateful to be at work and be a part of the conversation
Right.
and
Just
not
happy to be
stuck
here.
at home.
So on that note, we would like to thank you guys for joining our email list. And if you have not done so yet, make sure you do that. We have many different ways to get a hold of us. Feel free to reach out. We'll get you on that email list.
It's at the top of our link tree.
Yep.
You just click
Right
on
at
it.
the very top.
Click on the link tree. It's the top link there. You will find Angela's link tree in the description also. And you can get a hold of her there. And of course, our links are always in there. This week, we do have 3 podcasts coming up for you. 3 special guests. We have Tuesday, we have Dina Haslock. On Wednesday, we have Susan Otten. And on Friday, we have Leslie Rochelle. And these are all repeat guests.
Yes.
So if you don't know them, you can go back and watch their podcast or listen to it. And
We're going to
they
get to
would
know
love
them a little bit more.
We just want to go ahead and say thank you for joining us on the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast, Monday Mindset.
Thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
Namaste.